Road bike.
Gravel bike.
Road bike.
Gravel bike.
Road bike.
Gravel bike.
It's a common dilemma when buying a new bike. Which one do you choose? Now, you might know the differences between them. You might know how they stack up on different terrains. But is there one that's better value than another?
And which one gives you the biggest bang for your buck?
Road bikes have been around since the dawn of time and have evolved over the generations to become super fast and efficient at riding on smooth surfaces like these.
Gravel bikes, on the other hand, are far newest to us, but are one of the fastest growing sectors in the bike industry. Designed to take us from A to B as fast as possible, almost irrespective of the terrains.
Now, the two bikes that we're using today are from Ribble cycles, but what we're going to talk about is pretty much can translate to any brand in the cycling industry. Before we dive into our topic though, we'll go over exactly what we're using today. So my bike is the Ribble Endurance SL, a dedicated out and out road bike. I mean, even the tube shapes have been tailored for aerodynamics. This is a bike that's been designed to go fast and cover long distances on smooth terrain. I've got narrow road tyres on here, although I could fit up to 32mm wide, giving me a little bit more versatility. We'll come on to that later. Now, under this luscious custom paint job, there is a super light carbon frame, and I've also got a Shimano Ultegra road group set on there. So I've got gears low enough to get me up the steepest roads, but I've also got gears high enough that I can keep pedaling upwards of 60k an hour.
And this is my bike, the Ribble Gravel SL, a dedicated gravel bike designed to conquer the most extreme of gravel terrains, but equally feel at home on the road too. We've got nice chunky 47mm wide tyres paired to a 650B wheel, although this bike can accept a 700C wheel if that's your thing. We've got a carbon fibre frame and a carbon fibre fork with plenty of mounting points so you can get all your accessories on this bike. Matched up with this bike is Shimano's gravel specific GRX group set with a 1x setup at the front and a super wide range cassette so that we can climb the steepest of gravel paths and take us anywhere.
So we've got our weapons of choice, both very similarly spec'd bikes with similar levels of carbon frames and similar price tags at just under £3,000, euros or dollars. Now, those are serious bikes, but what we're talking about absolutely applies to lower price points as well.
Out on the open roads or on the gravel tracks is where we can first start to tell these bikes apart. And the most noticeable difference is the tyres. So the tyres on my bike are far bigger in their volume and they've got a specific tread on them, designed to give me grip on loose gravel and mud, for example, but maybe not so suited for the road where they do slow me down a little bit. Although that's not a big deal if I'm riding by myself, but when Si puts the hammer down, well, I'm in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, that's a handy excuse, isn't it, Alex? But no, my tyres are a complete contrast. They're much narrower, they're also much more lightweight, and they're designed to be fast rolling on tarmac. Now, I could definitely venture on to smooth gravel, but I'd be mindful of doing much more than that, to be honest with you. They're certainly more susceptible to punctures when you stray away from tarmac, but the other thing is you've got more pressure in them, and so they're a lot less comfortable when you're on rougher stuff.
Speaking of gravel, next left, come on.
No, I'm not. Alex, I'm not going down there, mate. Now, tyres are just scratching the surface here though, really, aren't they? If you pardon the pun. We need to dive a little deeper.
True, okay, so is a gravel bike actually two bikes in one? Like, do you get twice the amount for your money? Because for many people, the appeal of the gravel bike is that do-it-all approach. You can have go off-road or you can go on-road.
There is a slight sense, perhaps, that by being so versatile, it maybe loses out by not excelling in any one area. So it's not quite as efficient as a road bike on the road, and it's not quite as capable as a mountain bike off-road. But if you want to do multiple different surfaces in one ride, or you're 100% set on having just one bike and you want to do off-road as well, then without doubt, the gravel bike is the sensible choice.
But that said, if you're particularly new to cycling, the gravel bike is a great way to decide what discipline and style of riding you like the most. It could be that you like riding on gravel, or you could ride on a mix of terrains, or it could mean that you still end up lusting after having a road bike, or perhaps even a mountain bike.
Yeah, pants. So instead of a gravel bike being double for your money, it's actually like a gateway drug and you end up spending loads more on different bikes. Yeah, no, we joke, of course, but there is a serious point here. A gravel bike is a versatile beast, and compared to a mountain bike, it's so fast and agile on the road and on simple trails, and compared to a road bike, it's just so capable off-road. But there's no escaping it. Riding road bikes on road is so fun. I mean, they are so efficient, how far and how fast you can go, and they are addictively responsive. And certainly if I was riding with a group of road cyclists regularly, I would definitely want the road bike. Next, let's take a closer look at the specifications, shall we? Because I was fascinated to try and work out whether or not one style of bike had better specs, either with components or frames, than the other for the same price.
As an example, we can look at some different bikes that represent mid-range value, starting with the Endurance AL disc road bike and the CGR AL gravel bike, so they're do-it-all bikes.
Now, both bikes have aluminium frame sets. They've both got Shimano 105 group sets. In fact, the specs are identical apart from the tyres. They're wider on the gravel bike, obviously, and the gravel bike has a carbon seat post, but yet the road bike retails for £100 less.
So that said, you get slightly more for your money with the road bike.
Yep, at that price point, it looks like you do. There is another more important point here though when it comes to finding a bike that gives you the most bang for your buck. Ultimately what you'd want, I guess, is to find the right bike for you. And the right bike for you is not likely to come down to a matter of specifications or tiny fluctuations in price, but actually it could very well come down to how it fits you.
Gravel bikes and road bikes do have a different fit and geometry to them. So you've got road bikes that are slightly more stretched out, and a gravel bike gives you that slightly more upright feeling.
Yeah, so the theory is that that long and low position on a road bike helps you cut through the wind more efficiently. It makes you more aerodynamic, whereas that higher position on a gravel bike gives you more confidence and more control when you're riding off-road.
Now that's true in both cases, although some people might find the more upright position of the gravel bike more comfortable, or vice versa. So the thing that gives you the best bang for your buck is going to be the bike that you find most comfortable.
Indeed, yeah. Now secondly to that, there are other subtle differences in the geometry of these bikes that can make one perhaps feel more confidence inspiring or comfortable to ride than the other. So the wheelbase on the gravel bike, so how long it is a little bit longer still than the road bike, and also the steering isn't quite as agile. So it might mean that when you're riding it, you feel a little bit more confident because the bike naturally wants to go in a straight line more, and it's not perhaps quite as quick to dive into corners.
Finally though, the agility and speed of the road bike is what gives it its exhilaration when you're out riding on the road. It's kind of like comparing the difference between a sports car and an SUV.
Lastly, before we leave you to ponder your bike buying decision a little bit more, don't forget that once you've actually purchased the bike, there are still changes you can make to it, and that's particularly important in the case of the gravel bike.
On a road bike, you can upgrade it to be lighter and faster by perhaps investing in a set of aerodynamic wheels. However, on a gravel bike, you can effectively reduce that performance difference and gap to the road bike by quite simply fitting a set of road bike tyres.
You could. I mean, the bike still wouldn't be as light as this one. That frame set's designed to take more punishment from riding off-road, so it does have a bit more material in it. But yeah, the bike would pretty much be as fast, I guess. And the other thing that'd be really important to note is that on a bike like that one, you could buy a second set of wheels, In Alex's case, they could be different sizes to allow you to use those different tyres. Currently, smaller wheels, bigger tyres, which close the gap off-road to mountain bikes quite considerably. There's absolutely nothing stopping you fitting a set of road wheels, lightweight carbon wheels in fact, to that bike, and away you go. It's just if you do borrow my wheels, mate, I won't be able to ride with you because I can't use those. So
I'd come back and jump back to you.
okay,
Yeah.
mate, thanks, sir.
That's all right. So which bike gives you more for your money? The road bike costs fractionally less than the gravel bike. So is it that?
Well, yeah, except that I think a gravel bike gives better value to people getting into cycling, both from the comfort that you get from the position and the tyres, and also the confidence-inspiring handling. Now, you might also be interested to know what other people are doing in terms of their purchasing habits. And Ribble said that they've definitely seen a huge rise in popularity in the gravel bike, but they sell more road bikes overall. However, what's been interesting is that they say the average purchase price of a gravel bike is lower, suggesting that, again, perhaps that's the bike for people getting into the sport.
But that said, it all just comes down to personal preference and what you like the most. But you can rest assured that the difference in specifications between the two bikes at the same price point is next to nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments section down below. Which bike have you chosen, or which will you for your next purchase? And do make sure, before leaving, is give this video a big thumbs up.